Executive Order 9066, the orange of that kind of reminds me of some of the things that are happening today. We panic, we have hysteria when an incident happens, and particularly if it's with a minority group of people. We'd hoped we'd learned from that experience, but I think today we still have to be cautious. We have to hold our government accountable.
On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, causing the United States to declare war on Japan. The war heightened prevailing racist attitudes, and anti-Japanese sentiment grew. Many suspected that their Japanese-American neighbors might be spies or saboteurs. The military pressed President Roosevelt to take action and circumvent constitutional safeguards in the name of national defense. On February 19, 1942, President Roosevelt issued Executive Order 9066, which allowed the government to forcibly remove and imprison persons of Japanese descent due to racial prejudice and war hysteria.
Executive Order 9066, signed by President Roosevelt, makes me sad for him, because he was the victim of that hysteria. He reacted with fear and suspicion with no basis in fact.
Though the United States was at war with countries in both Europe and Asia, only states along the West Coast, Washington, Oregon, and California, where large populations of Japanese Americans lived, were designated military areas. This paved the way for the forced removal and incarceration of over 120,000 Japanese Americans, entire families, including women and children, to America's concentration camps. 2/3 of those incarcerated were American citizens. They lost their land, their homes, their businesses, their dignity, everything. Dalton Wells, just north of Moab, Utah, was an abandoned civilian conservation corps camp from the 1930s that was retrofitted to house Japanese-American internees who protested their imprisonment or asked embarrassing questions about their government. 49 men, American citizens, were essentially locked up in solitary confinement.
Dalton Wells, I had no idea it existed. Some stuff obviously went down there, and it's a weird sensation to be standing on land that had experienced something unjust and traumatic and frankly un-American. I just kind of felt compelled to take my instrument out and play Minidoka, the piece that I wrote after visiting Minidoka in Idaho. That was kind of why I wrote the piece. I wanted to offer some kind of healing energy for the people who experienced that situation, but also, in a sense, for the land itself to heal that spot.
George Takei collaborated with Kenji on the work. George was only a child when he was taken away.
We lived in a 2-bedroom house on Garnet Street in Los Angeles. Early one morning, it was May, Daddy came into our bedroom and quickly woke us up and dressed my brother and me hurriedly. And he told us to wait in the living room while our parents did some last-minute packing in their bedroom. Our baby sister was in a cradle with them. So my brother and I were just gazing out the front window out on the neighborhood, when suddenly we saw soldiers marching up our driveway. They carried rifles with bayonets on them. They stomped up the front porch and with their fists began banging on the door. We were terrified. The whole house seemed to be trembling. Daddy answered the door, and literally at gunpoint, we were ordered out of our home. We were spit on and assaulted on the street. Our homes, our businesses, our cars were graffitied. The government came down with a curfew. Our bank accounts were frozen. Our life savings were taken. And then the terror intensified.
Although Kenji Bunch wasn't born in 1942, the whole time he was growing up in Portland, Oregon, he heard stories from Japanese American friends about the camps. Had he been born 40 years earlier, he himself would have been forced to relocate to a camp. He studied music at the prestigious Juilliard School, where he was the first student ever to receive dual Bachelor and Master of Music degrees in viola and composition.
Kenji Bunch, the composer, is an enormously gifted man. What I love about his music is he's dealing with Asian Americans, Japanese Americans. The sound is very American because this is an American story. And here I am, a Japanese American, telling that story with that music. He's a wonderful composer of moving music, but beyond that, it's a very American sound, and I am thrilled to be a part of that.
Despite the distant events, many Japanese Americans and other Asian Americans fear history is repeating itself today. From March 2020 and continuing through 2022, incidences of anti-Asian hate, including violent verbal and physical assaults, even murder, on people of Asian descent rose 339% in America. Escalated by outrage fueled by the COVID-19 pandemic, labeled by some as the Wuhan flu, Kung flu, or China virus. Many in the Asian American community feel they are experiencing the same kind of rage Japanese Americans felt back in 1942.
My father always emphasized to us how our democracy is very vulnerable because it's a people's democracy, and it's a people who give it its meaning, strength, and substance.
It is a truth that art gives us meaning and helps us better understand our world. Kenji Bunch and his music are a part of that process.
Good evening. I'm George Takei.
Music is in our bodies, in our environment, the sounds of nature, and to tell this singular story using the talent of an enormously gifted Japanese American composer and my personal family experience, I think is going to be an important contribution to American society and to moving it forward to a better American society.
We have to believe that a project like this, even though it's just one concert, one night in one part of the country with one audience, I have to believe that can make a difference. to coin a phrase, a super spreader of compassion and understanding and awareness of history and learning from mistakes of history.
With the bombing of Hiroshima and then Nagasaki, the war with Japan ended. America had won. But now, our family, together with 120,000 people, face the new challenge of rebuilding our lives in a nation still hostile to us. The government gave each one of us a one-way ticket to anywhere in the United States and $25 to build our new life. We were to forge for ourselves in a country where they still considered us the enemy.
Throughout the existence of the United States, we've had the tendency to make sweeping generalization without basis in fact on people that look or sound or are colored differently. The creator of the show that serves as my platform, Star Trek, the creator's name was Gene Roddenberry. He coined a phrase, infinite diversity in infinite combinations. That's what makes American society today, and hopefully the future society that can embrace diversity as a source of strength. And so diversity and acceptance of that diversity as a strength is going to make the society a better, more equal, and more vibrant and stronger society.
The blame game has reappeared, based on fear, prejudice, and misguided beliefs. What will it take to move forward and stop making the mistakes of the past?